But observers have told me that there are a number of factors that have affected development in Cambodia, and one is poor governance, the lack of transparency and corruption. These are serious problems. What should be the priorities?
I think this question is very important for Cambodia, in which the government of Cambodia has realized that transparency and governance is the core issue, where they put it into the core called rectangular strategy of the government strategies. So what should be the priority is, at the moment, need to be separation of the powers and enforce the implementation of the existing law. Separation of power, it means that legislative, judicial system and three powers need to be separate from each other, and enforce the implementation of the existing law, regulation and frameworks. And secondly, increase economic opportunity for the poor and vulnerable group, which for the large part mean invest heavily in the poverty reductions, including agriculture, rural development and social safety net. However, I think the royal government of Cambodia should bear in mind that increased opportunity, economic opportunity, is only one dimension of poverty reductions and improving governance and livelihood of the people. But reducing poverty depends on very much on the people itself to have empower community people to be the voice heard to the leaders and to the policy makers. That is very important, which give opportunity for the poor and vulnerable people itself to express concern to the government and others development actor to be aware. And secondly is the expansion of political freedoms that come with democracy is desirable outcome in itself, but democratic institutions and process are also critical to the achievement of the human development. And the freedom of the people need to be respected in terms of freedom of expression and other freedoms, to avoid intimidation and make people not be able to express freely. And thirdly, a well-functioning of electoral process in a multi-party democracy, which make politicians more likely to respond to the people's needs and aspirations. We believe that only the poor and vulnerable people have the chance to draw attention to the difficulty and concern to the government to address their needs and to provide justice and equitable growth to all the people. That is very important. And another point I would like to raise is the gap between the rich and the poor need to be filling for the development.
But are the people participating in the decision-making process? Are they going to vote? Have they voted in the last election? Are people aware of their rights?
Most of the people are aware of their rights, but I think, we just passed the recent election, which is not related to the question, but the economic needs and social needs are very linked together. So, the people have the right to participate, but in the election, truly, but we would like to be more participation in the development projects.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, it's still limited. It needs to be improved or encourage more people participation and ownership into all of the development projects. For example, like, a lot of land economic concession has been granted to private companies in these countries, where I could say little or no full participation from affected communities, from a community who is supposed to be benefit from a big development scale, that it needs to be limited. So this voice and concern need to be heard and to be incorporated into the development plan to have eventually the plan or development, different development project will benefit the people.
So they are speaking out about the programs that affect them in the community.
I did, but it need to be more improved and need to be more acceptance between the development worker and between the community people itself.
Good.
So in Cambodia context, we have the law, as I mentioned earlier, we have the law, regulation, and those need to be enforced and implemented.
It's a common problem, I think, in a lot of development countries. Let me ask you now, you are the executive director of the NGO Forum on Cambodia. What is this association? Who are its members? And what are its objectives?
So NGO Forum is a membership organization. We have now more than 80 NGOs with a combination of local and international NGOs. So NGO Forum exists for information sharing, debate and advocacy on priority issues affecting Cambodia development. So the NGO Forum have important role to highlight the impact of the development process and economic, social, political changes in Cambodia context. So our main objective is, the rights of the poor and vulnerable groups in Cambodia are recognized and supported by the policies and practices of Cambodian governments and donors and by the wider communities. So this is our role, where we are, again, exist for advocacy, information sharing. In this regard, in this Cambodian context, advocacy means we are requesting or soliciting from the governments and decision makers to help us, in particular the poor and vulnerable, where we could not help the problem by ourselves.
And what is the relationship between the civil society and the government? Do the both entities trust each other?
I think when we start, in 1993, when we have the first general election which bring all warring Khmer factions coming together, so the civil society and democracy has been exercising during the times. So then there was an evolvement during 1993 up till now. So in terms of trusting each other, it depends on the issue that we are working on. For NGO and civil society who are working mostly on the development assistance, service delivery, we tend to have more trust between the government and NGOs. But for the issue that we are working on, such as human rights, democracy, advocacy, seem to be the trust is a little bit far and needs to be improved.
I think, again, it's a common problem in countries, especially in Asia. Now, we hear that the government is planning to carry out a decentralization program. In your opinion, is this good or bad for Cambodia?
I think the decentralization program is good for Cambodia. It could bring the issue or bring the people close to decision makers, where it empowers communities and local groups to be more responsible to their needs. So I think it's a good start for Cambodia, but need to have a long way to have really to have a really meaning of decentralization.